Question is, will I ever leave you? The answer is no, 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 no,
Hi, this is
no.
Prophetic Flow, Manna from Heaven, and I'm your host, Prophetess Sandra Faye Newsom. Today, my topic is, why is there suffering? I know a lot of us wonder why, we suffer and why people suffer that we love, and it seems like the people that do the most and have the biggest hearts suffer. So, why is there suffering? It is natural that at some point in our lives we ask, why is there suffering? Or why am I not happy? A lot of us ask those questions. Why can't we simply go on with life and not undergo so many trials and tribulations? Why can't God make a universe or world where there is no suffering? Well, my answer to that is He already has, but we are simply in the wrong one. Let me explain it a little more fully. First of all, we are all spiritual beings with material bodies. Most people at least understood that much. But that is also where the trouble begins. As soon as you are enclosed in a material body and interact with material energy, you are going to experience various aspects of worldly existence, which may not be the most pleasant. According to your interpretation of the experience based on the things or the sense of mind, some of these incidents may be appealing and some will be less than desirable and even appear to be troublesome to the extreme. Those troubles come under three categories. First, there are the troubles caused by the body itself, then those which are caused by other beings, and then those that are caused by nature. The first kind of trouble is that from the body itself, such as the need to eat, breathe, sleep, having clothes and shelter, and so on. It takes some work to provide for these needs of the body. Even then, there is no guarantee that it will be easy. The body may also have health problems that need additional and special attention. The eyes may need glasses to see properly, or you may experience headaches, toothaches, upset stomach, muscle pains, and simply growing old and not have the same capability as you did in younger days. Or worse, the body may get cancer or some other disease and die early. And you have to deal with all of this. You have to deal with it all. Um, why does that happen? We want to know, why does that happen? This is a load of questions and can warrant a complex answer. But on the simple side, the answer to it is a material machine of all forms of material energy and objects gradually deteriorate and break down. The body is made up of material elements which constantly change, as this is what you have to undergo as long as you acquire a material body in which we exist. Um, the deterioration process of the body is often assist with the way that we treat, the way that you treat your body. If you don't eat properly, don't take care of it, or smoke or drink alcohol beverages in excess, then naturally the body would not be able to maintain itself as easily as it will rapidly deteriorate and give us more problems, which we will have to contend. Sometimes we will cause that very problem about which we complain. The second kind of problem in material life are those caused by other beings, which they are, you know, um, bites from animals, I guess, or bug bites, or noisy neighbors, or angry drivers, or those type of things which carry on anger. The attitude, or simply hard work or hard to do with, and so on. A lot of us get angry. And this can include criminals who want to rob you or steal your car or break in your house, or, it's all dealing with anger. So many things can happen because everyone has their own viewpoint of what to pursue, which may be different from the way you see things and which may give you trouble or cause other sufferings. It's just giving you a lot of causes of suffering, I guess, in general. The third type of troubles come from nature itself. This is not much you can do when the winter becomes excessively hot. When the summer, I'm sorry, when the summer becomes excessively hot, or when the winter provides blowing cold and lots of snow. When tornadoes or hurricanes come through, or when droughts or lack of rain depletes our food supply, we simply have to deal with it the best we can. These are the kinds of problems that may appear in life because of ever changing way of nature, which can be causes of suffering. These three kind of miseries are there. These three kind of miseries are there simply because of having a material body. It is not that life cannot be enjoyable. There may be plenty of things that can give you us pleasure or happiness, but you have to remember that in life, the material world comes as a whole package. You get it all complete with the good and the bad, the pains and the pleasures. Another sort of problem that exists in material life is the lack of security or peace of mind. We live in an ever changing world, and this change means that we don't know what the future will bring. Various levels of anxiety and concerns. We undergo so many endeavors in order to prepare for whatever may come. This may include trying to arrange for a financial secure retirement home that is as safe as possible, for us and our family. Our bank account, emergency life insurance is for our families, protection for and financial things that may come to us, good education, um, to attain the qualifications for whatever may happen in the job market. It is natural, it is the nature of the material world to change. Nothing remains the same, which causes anxiety about the future. Anything can happen, in which cause it often said, in which case it is often said that nothing is secure. However, these are the dealings we have to undergo, especially when we consider ourselves to be the material body, which must have all kind of protection against the unknown future. Another kind of suffering that follows us is the caused by a past karma. That kind of suffering is what we often do, what we often don't know or understand. As we have briefly mentioned, therefore, is that we are spiritual beings in material bodies. The bodies change through birth and grow through youth, adult, old age, and death. Then the spiritual energy that was within the body, namely the soul, goes on to some other place or some other body. In every culture, it is understood that we are acting in a good way. It will secure us as good. It will secure us a good future. We can even see that happen in general way in our one life. If we take care of ourselves, we often can expect to live a healthy, um, um, problematic life. However, we also may suffer from mistakes we made in the past. A lot of us do that, such as bad financial investments, low energy, or even lung problems because of smoking cigarettes, or health problems because of years of bad dieting. We may also be suffering because of mistakes and actions performed in past lives. To the degree of our good and bad action in the past, that we manifest to the same level or pleasure or unpleasant experience that we have to endure now in this life. So some may ask, why am I suffering for what I don't know, such as actions of past lives? To that answer it is, as they say, ignorance of the law is no excuse. We have to understand how this universe operates and the purpose behind it. This comes from the knowledge that has been supplied through so many messengers of God and so many kind of scriptures. At least the basic moralistic standards are all explained in many of the doctrines around the world. To the degree to which you are serious about understanding the purpose of life, it is to that level of knowledge which you need to search out for the answers. They are available. They are what I am trying to point out through my writing. Just as we cannot blame the sun for darkness because it is merely the lack of sunlight that causes it, similarly, we cannot blame God for our suffering. It is the lack of godliness that is the root causing of all suffering. The more spiritual we become, the freer we are from all suffering. I will repeat that. The more spiritual, the more spiritual we become, the freer we are from all suffering, whether it be material, mental, emotional, or whatever the case may be. Suffering only exists within the illusions. Now, I know you may want to know what is meant by that. It is generally accepted that anything that is temporary is part of the material nature that we have to experience. It is here today, but gone tomorrow, as they say. The more we are attached to that which is temporary, then the more we guarantee ourselves future disappointments because of basing our identity or security or our happiness on that which does not last. This means that no matter what we do, if we absorb in the temporary material nature for what we hope to find for our happiness, security, love, and bare existence, at some point it will change or even come to an end. Then we have to readjust everything that we based on that standard. Thus, as it is often said, that which is temporary, it is like an illusion or a dream. It is real, but it is like the reality in a dream that we have at night. Once we're waking from that dream, no matter how good or bad it was, we are free or released from that experience. Suffering is real, but also like the dream we have at night, which ends when we awake. This means that the more we awake to real spiritual identity, our real spiritual identity, the more we become free from the illusion and the suffering that goes on within it. There is no suffering on the spiritual platform. Therefore, all suffering exists only within illusion. To the degree to which we are absorbing in the illusion, to the degree to which we can expect to undergo suffering or the appearance of suffering. Our experiences are only interpretations of the mind and senses. Naturally, being burned or undergo disease, being robbed, or and so on are all miserable situations, but they exist only within the body experience or within the bodily state of consciousness. Once we become free from the body platform of life and the earthly existence, we are no longer subject to the suffering that goes along with the form of life and material perception. Although the duality of material world does not ultimately exist, the conditioned soul experiences it as real under the influence of our own conditioned intelligence. The imaginary experience of a world separation, Krishna, can be compared to the acts of dreaming and desiring. Suffering has a purpose. It tests you so that you might see your real potential and capabilities. If life is smooth and easy, then how will you reach deep within yourself to see how you may change or rise to a challenge? It also teaches you to be able to reach for higher possibilities and undergo more difficult situations for a higher cause. Therefore, suffering is also teacher for most people. Suffering is a teacher for most people. I know in the Bible, Peter and Timothy says we are expected to suffer. Nothing can compare to the glory of God from suffer. And what we go through cannot compare to what Jesus went through. Suffering also gets you to ask basic questions. Why am I suffering and what is the point? And this can help you reach the level of consciousness that can lead to great levels of enlightenment, which is the prime goal of life. So what may first appear to be a curse A reversal in life may yet really be something that will propel you like a slingshot to new and loftier levels of illumination of clarity. That often happens when you least expect it, but possibly when you most need it. I know we want to know a lot of times what are the causes of suffering. And sinful people cause some suffering directly, like lying and anger, divorce and drugs, crimes. Sin causes suffering indirectly because of the sin, this earth is corrupt, deteriorating, painful, and evil, which is in Genesis 3 and 14 through 19. Also for 1 through 15, and in Romans 8 and 20 through 22. God is not the cause of suffering. He is the author of good, which is in James chapter 1, verse 13 through 17. Some people conclude that since God made everything, he made evil too. God is the author of everything in the created universe. Evil is not a thing of substance. It is the um, privation or lack in things. Blindness is a lack of sight. Pain is lack of health. Hate or murder is lack of love. Therefore, God did not create evil. Why doesn't God end all evil immediately? To end evil would have to destroy the cause of evil, which is people. In his good plan for people, it is therefore not good to end all evil immediately. So, we raise the question, why doesn't God make people unable to cause suffering? To do that, God would have to take away our ability to choose. But choice is free will is a good thing. In order to love, you must be able to choose to love. Forced love is not love. So to have a universe that includes love, God has to make us with choices, which includes the choice not to love, and that makes sin, evil, pain, and suffering possible. So why does God allow natural disasters and diseases? It is a part of a sinful world. It is part of a sinful world. God lowered the perfection of creation from the perfect Garden of Eden to match the spiritual state of those who live here, which is in Romans chapter 8, verses 20 through 22. God graciously has sustained people on this earth, allowing them to reproduce, to develop government and systems to deal with the effect of sin. He has graciously sustained the fallen creation, provided sun and rain for food to sustain life. Colossians chapter 1, verse 17. But the natural effect of fallen creation is that good things can have evil byproducts. Water can drown someone. Gravity can kill someone. Lightning can burn and kill. So why doesn't God stop evil acts that cause innocent people to suffer? Why doesn't God miraculously intervene to stop evil acts if he is all loving and all powerful? Why doesn't he catch the drunk drivers, the drive cars that's going to crash into a bus? Why doesn't he deflect the murderer's bullet? The person asking doesn't actually want God to stop all their evil acts. They don't want to be invisible gauges. Every time they're about to do something hurtful, they don't want to stump their toe when trying to kick. You know, they don't want God to stop those things because when they're doing those things, then they would have to pay the price for that also. They just think it would be good if God stopped certain evil acts, and not all of them. People don't know to the point of the extent of the point of the things that they're asking God to do because, it applies for one. God said no respecter of person. So it applies for all, just not one person. Why doesn't God let us choose to get out of this suffering? He does. That is a gracious, loving response of God to the evil condition of this sinful world. God has provided for personal salvation, the promise of eternal life in heaven where there is no suffering, which is in Revelation chapter 21 and verse 4. One must simply put his trust in the payment for sin God provided through Christ's death on the cross, which is in John chapter 3, verse 16 through 18, and Acts chapter 10, 38 through 43. God has provided for the earth's redemption, which is in Romans 8, 18 through 23, and 2 Peter 3 and 10, and also 13 in Revelations chapter 21 and verse 1. So why can't we get out of this evil world or suffering immediately? We don't know why God's timetable is what it is. We really don't know. We can see why he can't. We can see why he couldn't deliver Adam and Eve immediately. God first had to provide redemption through Christ. This world continues today in part because there are more people yet that will come to have eternal salvation. The world continues today in part because there are more people yet that will come to have an eternal salvation. We do know that God is causing all things to work together. Romans 8:28. All things to work together for the good of those who love God. So what are some good reasons for suffering? It enables us to cope in a sinful world. Pain can keep us from a greater physical evil. A burnt finger warns us to avoid the worst danger. Pain helps us from greater moral evil. It teaches us to turn to God for solutions, for eternal deliverance from evil. Is heaven. For temporary deliverance from evil is safety or holiness. For spiritual strength to endure suffering. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7 through 10. It produces character improvement, holiness, maturity, which is in James 1 and 24, which in turn produces the eternal reward, the crown of life, which is James 1 and through 12. James 1, verse 12. It gives God the opportunity to show his grace, his love, and care for our sinful condition through Christ and through Christ's life and death for our sake, which is Romans 5, 6 through 8. Through providing a place where there is no more suffering, sin or death. 1 Corinthians 15, 51 through 55, Revelations 21 and 4. So God doesn't want us to suffer. You know, we go through these things for a reason with purpose. Another useful side of suffering is that it helps us understand the misery or difficulties that others experience and helps us to be more compassionate to one another. It helps us to see how we are all the same and that in what way we have to deal with in this world, and that working together, assisting each other in various ways will make life easy for all of us. Once we attain this vision, one often becomes motivated to overlook one's own limitations and challenges and sufferings to put more emphasis on doing good for others and helping them with their problems. Naturally, as we look around, we can always find people who are suffering far worse than we are. As we work to ease the problem and suffering of others, we can understand that undergoing and witness the suffering that exists in the world a cause of our motivation to seek true happiness, to keep looking for our spiritual identity, which is free of the illusions wherein misery dwells. Once we can reach that, we can help give the same view to others. So when we focus on spiritual energy, mainly God, and our transcendental identity as a spiritual being, we can become absorbed in peace, contentment, joy, love, harmony, and the fulfillment that comes from the unlimited potential that is within our spiritual identity. It's not only changes that we view the problems we may face, but the changes of frequency in which we think and live and help protect us from many of our typical challenges or problems in material life. It's a matter of your perception, how you view and respond to the things around you, and that is determined within you, within your conscience, which is where the adjustment is required. It is not fixed by merely changing your circumstance. Otherwise, we are there. So many people who seem to have everything yet remain happy. The art of any spiritual oriented person is being able to focus on our spiritual identity, which still function within the material energy without becoming overwhelmed by whatever problems and challenges that come along. As you advance spiritually, you are simply passing through it. So you do what you can while you're here. So, another question I just want to give a little bit about is some more causes of suffering. Through our body conception of life, we are always, after material enjoyment and therefore trying to acquire or hold on to so many things in hopes of maintaining the enjoyment. The thought of losing our so-called valuables and what we cherish gives us great anxiety. But this material happiness and anxiety are two sides of the same coin, and they are superficial to the soul since they exist only within the mind. The spirit soul actually above such miseries and temporary pleasures. That's a little bit about suffering that I wanted to give you what I, looked up on it a little bit. Sometimes we causes this in our life, and suffering can help us in a lot of ways. Um, God said, do not love the world and the things of the world. And so a lot of times you cling on to them things. And everything happened for a reason with purpose. So I hope you enjoyed this show. And I hope I gave you, plenty of information on suffering that I could. So thank you for tuning into my show. God bless you. Don't let Satan arrest you. And live holy. It's right. Peace.
Question is, will I ever leave you? The answer is no, 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 no. Question is, will I ever leave you? The answer is no, 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 no. So question is, will I ever leave you? Answer is no, 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 no. Let me tell you why.